Hello, everybody. Welcome back to a new live episode of the Wisemen Say podcast. Ty Fisher alongside Jerald, Lucas, Derik, Abbott. Gentlemen, I have a couple words for us. We are 3 days away from the season opener. How are we feeling?
Feeling pretty good.
As Jerald decides to eat before he said something, instead of the 5 minutes it took of us off air talking, decides to eat right before the show. Gosh darn it, Jerald!
Hey, I'm a fat boy. Leave me alone. Merry Christmas to everybody.
Yes. Well, we've got the perfect weather. The weather is exactly what we should come to expect from Christmas. So, it's fastly approaching.
33 degrees is what it says. It's going to be on Saturday and cloudy.
You want the windows open?
Yes, I do actually.
You guys have heat up there, though, right?
Yeah. It don't work when those windows are open.
I was going to say
that's the part.
That's got to be tough. I mean, I've already got the long johns ready to go. I'm gonna have to. I don't know what I'm gonna be layering up with, but the layering up will be occurring, and then I will do some extra layering up, probably at like Betty's or somewhere beforehand. If you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, definitely. I'm probably gonna wear a hood. I'm probably gonna wear I don't even have a long sleeve shirt. Like, I should get a long sleeve shirt and then wear a hoodie, but I'll figure it out.
Real quick. I was thinking about this earlier. Do you guys, because you're media, are you allowed to wear crew stuff up there? Does it have to be?
No.
No? Okay. That's what I kind of figured, but I just wanted to check.
Nope. Although there is somebody that wears a Columbus Crew hat all the time.
Oh. I love it.
That's up there.
If you set the precedent, then after a while, they can't tell you not to.
No, he's been covering the team for a long time. I could probably get away with wearing a jacket or something, but as far as like maybe a scarf or a jersey, no. If it's something like maybe a jacket or something, maybe you're fine. Especially if you've been covering the team for as long as I have or the other person has, you might be able to get away with it. I mean, I went to Portland in 2018. I had Columbus Crew SC on my my laptop background. I wore a Columbus Crew jacket, and the comics people that were there saw me. They didn't say a thing. So
I couldn't even wear my supporter supply. So
I'm sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
I mean, was a catch and chug shirt,
Well, that's
wear, of course.
that's different. But yeah, if it's something small like a jacket or like a hat, I think we're okay. Mm-hmm. But like a scarf, a jersey,
something that really like signifies.
Then that's a hard no. By the way, if you guys see me kind of looking off to the screen, I have my monitor here, but I also have KC Miami on the telly. So I'm keeping an eye on that score.
Live updates. I love that.
Yeah, definitely.
It's -6 degrees with the wind chill there in Kansas City.
Right wait, that's right. This is the game that they like postponed today or whatever was going on with that. Oh.
Well, hey, as Kansas City said, there's no escaping this one.
I love it.
I don't know if you guys saw that today, but my lordy.
Hey, Colorado was the best troll. Colorado had the best troll yesterday, where they was like too cold for flamingos, but not for rapids.
I mean, yeah, Commerce City is definitely a cold spot for sure.
It's a suburb of Denver, but
well, yeah. I mean, just like just like Westerville is Columbus.
Or hold on. Don't say FC, because they like to to try to sue people now. FC Kentucky.
Not allowed to say it.
It's a you can't say just FC, because that they get mad about that. But
I saw that. Yeah, I saw that. It's in their media guide.
Yeah. They're a suburb
it's in their media guide. That's hilarious.
It really is.
That's just
it's
so
even
ridiculous.
on their credentials. The media, when you apply for credentials, it's also in there too.
Okay, guys. We're not talking about you that much. Come on now.
Yeah. Quite a filling show. It's a lot of just talking about the game on Saturday. And we got the preview. We're gonna have a tactical breakdown. We'll do our best to do the tactical breakdown. Bold predictions. Gonna take some concerns from fans on Twitter, and then we'll have our closing thoughts. Sound good?
Let's rock.
Are we doing the full predictions? Like last season?
No, because that took forever. Honestly, that took quite a long time. But
Derik,
to start out,
parlays.
Well,
good.
We'll sneak them in.
Yeah. To start out, quick recap of the offseason. Obviously, we've lost Christian Ramirez. We've lost Cucho Hernandez. We haven't seen anything about preseason except for the 4-1 draw, or not 4-1 draw. Holy crap, 4-1 loss to Nashville. I think the biggest key storylines are the losses of Cucho Hernandez and Christian Ramirez. So, if you had to give a grade on the offseason from the Columbus Crew, what would you give it?
C.
That's exactly what I was going to say. I mean, based on what we know,
I'd give it a C plus, and the reason a C plus is, I mean, yeah, you did bring in, you brought in Lassie, right? And yes, the losing Cucho and losing Christian, it hurt. It was up there with losing Lucas, right? But I'd rather lose them now than when we lost Lucas.
I would agree.
Because now you have from now until the summer, for the summer window, for the scouting department to really be like, okay, well, this is who we want to go after.
And see what you got.
And see who we have here. And, speaking with Nancy throughout the preseason, and especially today, like, speaking with him, with Darlington, and Darlington, was asked about, about now being, 3 years now with the off season, is it a little more, flex? Can they move a bit more flexible in preseason? And, he talked about, the first year was like a boot camp, second year, putting everything together. And third year, Nancy's been adding more, adding new stuff to it now. So, everybody got the basics of his system, and now he's adding more tactical. Which, by the way, after the show later on tonight, everybody could go to our YouTube channel and see all the media availabilities from today. They will be up later on this evening. But I mean, I say a C plus because there have been a signing yet, and this window closes in April, if I'm not mistaken, towards the end of the month in April. So, there's still time to bring in somebody. But I mean, this now, now makes everybody else step their game up. From Jason to Dylan to AZ to Max to Sean to Darlington to did I say Dylan? Yep. To Diego to even Farsi, even the backline, right?
Yeah, we've got goal scoring potential on that backline too.
And it was brought up in media today that the last last 15 games of this season, there was 70% of the goals were scored by people outside the name of Cucho Hernandez.
Really?
That's 13 goals.
Wow. I would not have even clocked that. I mean, that's awesome.
That's the last
development.
That's the last 15. Yeah, that's the last 15 games of the season. The season. That 70% of the goals that were scored by somebody that wasn't named Cucho. So and it's like 13 goals, 11 different goal scorers.
And I think to your point too about like a C to C plus, but then being in the third year, like a lot of these guys, it will be their third year in the system. So even if you bring in new players, now you have guys who know the system well enough, they can help them along as well as they're learning new things on kind of here's what we're supposed to do. Whereas before, like you said, when Nagby said it was kind of like a boot camp, I mean, everybody's learning it at the same time. And we obviously performed really well in that scenario. It just happened to shake out that way. I don't think anyone thought that was going to be the case. But getting now some guys who already know the system really well, even the younger guys like Jason Russell-Rowe and some of these that we want to step up, they haven't gotten to play as much as they would have, even this year if we still had Christian and Cucho, but now giving them the chance to show what they can do in this system and them being more of, for lack of a better term, veterans in this specific system, as we're talking through this, I'm like, I'm having a little more confidence in their ability to perform at least better than what they had been, some better than others in the past 2 years, but going into the third year, you would assume you would see a rise in ability and potential and stuff from a lot of these guys who maybe just were, sitting more on the bench and didn't get as much playing time, but know the system really well.
Well, Nazi touched on it a little bit today that, last year's plan, Christian wasn't playing to be the like he played last year.
Mm-hmm.
Christian went out there and proved that he deserved it. And that's why you see him, he got more starts over everybody else in that forward room, right? And as far as moving on from Columbus, Nazi says that, his door is open, that if a player wants to leave, his door is open, that they can leave. And, and he understands, right? He understands if they want to move on or if they want to be close to home. He understands that. And, he leaves that up to the front office to see if it's a good fit, that if the player leaves, what can we do to keep him? Or if he's really adamant about leaving, where do you want to go, and how much we can get in return for you. So, maybe Christian wanted to be closer to home and, went to Nazi and said, hey, I want to be closer to home, thank you for your service, Christian. It was a blast, but we're not going to stop you from, doing what something new, for your further in your career, as it might be winding down possibly. So
I also think that there we go. I also think that I think Derik, you touched on it also. Jason Russell-Rowe, right? We saw. I know Jerald follows him a lot more closely than I do. I'm not saying I don't follow him because I do follow him, but we saw his production in MLS Next Pro, getting that first team contract with the crew. He started to progress a little bit more and more. Right, he's starting to feel a little bit more comfortable playing in that system that Wilfried Nancy has. So I think with him getting substantial minutes now, it's going to even boost his confidence even more to perform really, really well. Now, am I one to say that he's going to fill the shoes that were left vacant by Cucho Hernandez? No, but I say this a lot. I've said it plenty of times here, but we have to accept the fact that Jason Russell-Rowe or Diego Rossi or whoever we bring in is going to contribute to the team in their own way than their I think it's than their predecessor, right?
Mhm.
Than Lucas Zelarayan, than Cujo Hernandez, than Josh Williams, right? They're going to contribute to the team in their own way and help make this team make a run at the MLS Cup. I'm very ecstatic to see the lineup for Saturday, right? Because it's going to look different. It's going to look absolutely weird. But it's one of those things. It's like, all right, this is going to be interesting, and I think it is. But we see it now that the season's starting to get even more closer. That everybody is just like they want the team to bring in somebody. They want somebody to be announced as a signing. We saw quotes from Patrick Murphy and everybody else at that season ticket member event that they don't just go out there and beg players to join the team,
I
right?
love that.
They have to have the drive to join the team and be able to complete or not compete in the system that Wilfried Nancy runs. And I think with the group now, the competition is within them, right? Who's going to be the first name called in the starting 11, right? Who's going to be the first name called off the bench in the 85th minute when we want to close out a game, right? The competition is within them. So I think this preseason is definitely going to shape how the first, what is that, February, March, April, May, the first 4 months is going to go when we have CONCACAF Champions Cup and MLS before we hop right into Leagues Cup, right? Transfers, Lassi Lapalainen had a career year under who? Wilfried Nancy in 2022, right? So it's going to be interesting to see how he provides his skill set to a system that is well known to him, but with a different magnitude of players, right? Because let's face it, Montreal Impact and the Columbus Crew are miles apart skill wise, right?
Right.
Not knocking Laurent Courtois because he's doing a magnificent job in Montreal, but you see the skill set in which the Columbus Crew have now from Caleb Porter to Wilfried Nancy now, then from Wilfried Nancy to two other coaches and now Courtois, right? The skill set is just miles apart. So it's interesting to see how he's going to fit in if he gets the start also, right? Because what is he, a mid wingback? What position is he? Do we know?
Winger.
I was to say, I thought he was a winger.
So okay, so who is he going to replace? Is it going to be Arson? Do we see Arson move up to the front? Do we see DeJuan Jones slide in? Do we see Lapanainen slide in? It's like I can't remember who I was talking to. I think it was the Designated Players podcast. It's like a grandmaster in chess. What? Yeah. It's like I'm what's that guy's name from Norway or Denmark? The chess grandmaster. I can't remember his name to save my life, but it's like watching him play chess, right? Because Wilfried Nancy has done so much with so much less when he was in Montreal. So again, we haven't seen much about preseason at all, except for that 4-1 loss to Nashville. But people were all up in arms. Magnus, yes, Magnus. Thank you, Alec. Oh, Alec, I did see your question. I did put it up. We'll get to that here in a second. Magnus, yes. It's like watching him play chess, but it's Wilfried Nancy and his little tactical board that he has on the sideline.
Wasn't that one of the first promo photos that he did? Was like him in front of looking over a chessboard. Like, yes, now is the time, right? Now is the time to see how much of the chess master he really is.
Yeah, and good.
So like I was telling Derik, when you were switching computers. Chris Dorn, the voice of the crew on the radio, was talking about the production, and he's the one that actually did the math and did the numbers. Like the last 15 games of the season, 70% of the goals were scored by a player outside of the name of Cucho. 11 different scores and 13 goals. So you see, you're seeing the progression, of all the other players. It does help having a star like Cucho, like Christian, to help bring the rest of the crop up. But now without him, it's sink or swim. Are you going to swim or are you just going to drown? And I think from everything that's being said in the preseason, at media, and the players look, oh my God, the players look, some of them, you could tell they've been hitting that weight room this offseason. Jason looks like he put on a little bit, bit more muscle, trimmed down a little bit as well. Some of the other players. So now it's just like, now you're all putting it together. And, Nancy touched a little bit on it. Like this year, I think it was Nancy or Nagby, but this year the front line knows what defense is doing and defense knows what the front line's doing. So everybody's all on the same accord. And, when you ask them, what does it mean that all the lines are moving at once? It's, hey, the front line's all moving towards the, to attack, and, nobody's left uncovered. Same thing with the mids, same thing with the defenders. So it's like in the game of actual, North American football, where on the defensive side, you run to the ball. Everybody runs to the ball, on defense. So you could have 5, 6, 7, defenders all on one ball carrier or one receiver, right? And that's how everybody has been moving so far in this preseason, according to, some of the players. And that's just shows, Nazi and believing in the team.
You're on mute.
Go.
Yeah, I realized that once I looked down, I was like, oh wait, I'm muted over here. Whoopsie. Besides the loss, you guys might have talked about this when I was switching computers. Besides the loss of Cucho and Christian and the addition of Lapalainen, what are some key storylines to look out for as we head into the season opener?
Oof.
I mean, I think it's
breakout season from Dylan.
I love that. He showed a lot of potential in the few moments that he really got to show it at the end of last year.
Well, we saw it with Diego, right? Mm-hmm. Diego came in right after Lucas, and it took him the rest of the season to catch up to the system, right? Then in his first full season last year, look at him.
People were pretty hard on him for a while too, and it took him a little bit longer, I think, than what people thought. But I mean, when he turned it on, he really turned it on.
Who was this, Dylan?
No, Diego.
Oh, so, Diego? Oh, yeah. So, dude, everybody was all on him when he came to Columbus.
So bad.
like, oh, yeah, we get the 20, was it 2020 or 2019 Golden Boot winner. He's going to score lots of goals for da-da-da-da-da. Guys, he just played like he played like a whole season in Turkey.
And I don't think they were asking him when you've got Cucho and Christian up there. I don't think they were asking him. His role wasn't really to score a bunch of goals. I mean, when he's in position to do it, of course, he's going to do that. But I mean, it felt like his role up front was more of a distributor anyways, to kind of draw maybe some of that attention away. Whereas now he gets the chance. Like in LA, when he was there, his best years were when he was the main, focal person when they had some people out. So like, now is the time. If your expectations are that, now would be the time to have those expectations of him, and not, in my opinion, at least not last year, especially not the half season that we had him at first.
Well, and that's what I'm saying about Dylan. Dylan came in the summer, coming over from the French league, and having to learn American style, and so he struggled a little bit, but he also shined too as well. So now you give him a full offseason with the team. And now you're giving him a full season with the team. And all the connections and all the chemistry that he's been building with everybody. I'm looking for a breakout season from him. I think you said Max, Derik.
Well, Max too, for sure. He definitely started to come on midway through last season. You really started to see him more. Of course, I'm in like the stand, so a lot of times you have to gauge. I gauge some of that just upon like how much people around me are talking about specific players, what they're doing, and sometimes just off the ball as well. And I mean, every single game in the second half of the season on, that's all anyone was ever talking about was like, let's get him the ball, like he's going to do something. And so he's had all the potential in the world, and yeah, this should be a season where he definitely can start to shine.
No, he came on after at the Real Salt Lake game. After that game, coming off a CONCACAF, it just like boom,
it was on.
He went from an undrafted, no draft pick picture,
That's right. He didn't have the picture. Right. He said that.
To now he's a household name, to where now you got fans asking, can he do a step-by-step of how he does his hair, the process on how he does his hair,
what products does he use,
what process, because you just play 90 minutes and your hair is still standing.
They put out a video today of him, like a behind the scenes thing of like getting the media day, like getting the photos and everything done. I did not realize that people are asking that, because the first thing I was thinking in my head when I was watching it was, what wild hair? How does he get his hair? Like it doesn't move. And yet there's like volume to it. Like I don't get, it's wild. I would love to know that too.
The crew admin one of the crew admins was talking about it today.
That's funny.
That fans have been asking, can they do a step-by-step process, and Max explaining each step of his process and the products on how he does his hair.
That is a sponsorship opportunity if I've ever heard one. Right there. You should get some commission off of that when they get that deal signed.
Hey, I just need free haircuts from
VC.
Yeah.
Overall, how hype are we about Saturday? Like, I'm getting there a little bit.
I'm geeked.
Oh, I'm pretty pumped. We've got.
I've already been in the stadium, so I'm like,
yeah.
I told Nate, I was like, yeah, every time I drive by OHPC and lower, I'm like, well, there's office number 2, there's office number 3, and I'm glad I'm home. Like, they had the field warmers out yesterday.
I love it.
You can see some of the construction and everything, but man, it feels so good to be home.
Moving to the game itself, right? We have done really well against the Chicago Fire. We have not lost to the Chicago Fire at home, I should say. And I said this wrong the other night during our preview.
I didn't say anything, but when you read the stat, but you didn't clarify at home, internally my jaw was like on the floor. I couldn't believe that.
Yeah. So we have not lost to the Chicago Fire at home since June 22nd, 2013. So it has been almost 12 years that we have not lost at home to the Chicago Fire. I'm looking at it right now on
so crazy.
I think it's football. Football Reference.
And there had to be some years where there was more than one game, I would imagine. Right? Well, actually, maybe not because they haven't made the playoffs in quite a while. So a lot of those years there wasn't 2 games.
A lot of the ones that I'm seeing are draws, actually.
Oh Lord. Well, I didn't want to know that.
It's either that or
We won.
The Chicago was home and they won, or we were on the road and we won. That's all I'm seeing as of Football Reference.
Okay.
So, June, where to go? June 22nd, 2013, we lost to Chicago at home, and Drew Fisher was the referee. So,
that's the name you ever heard.
Higuain scored our lone goal in the 7th minute. That was a penalty.
Of course.
And then Dilly Duca.
Oh my, what a name from the past.
Scored in the 52nd minute with Mike McGee scoring in the 54th minute.
Oh.
Yep.
Dilly Duca. First off, what a just incredible name.
Dilly Duca?
Of itself. This sounds like a totally fake name. And he was on the crew, right? For what, a year or 2? He got a really boneheaded red card one game. I totally remember where I was watching this, and I was just like, "Oh my, why? Why is he on this team?"
His real name is Deliver.
Deliver?
Yeah.
Deliver.
Quite literally have never heard of that name ever.
I'm pretty sure it's like Deliver. It's like DIL. Let's see, Dilly.
It sounds
Duca.
like Dilly would be the nickname. Your name would be Deliver, and then in middle school you get the nickname Dilly, and then for some reason he just decided I'm rolling with it. I'm rolling with my middle school nickname.
Rolling with it.
All the way to
that's all it is.
Professional soccer. That's just crazy.
Right here.
Wow.
Deliver Duca.
That's just incredible. That's some incredible stuff right there.
Yep.
I mean, but Chicago has that one player this year that
oh yeah, what was his name? I loved his name.
Stank something?
Stankenoggle or something. Something
yeah.
Awesome. It honestly sounded like a name out of Harry Potter. It was a Harry Potter name for sure.
Right there it is. Yeah. But yeah, we have not lost to the Chicago Fire at home since 2013. So we've obviously fared really well against them in recent years. Where to go? Back the last meeting, if I can find it. Here we go. 3-1. I think me and Jerald were at that game.
I called the score.
3-1.
Nice.
And then 2-1. So we outscored Chicago last year by a 5-2 scoreline across both games. Is Chicago a threat now because they have like Greg Berhalter and Jonathan Bamba, and are they sort of a threat now? I mean, looking at it, the Chicago Fire have 26 wins, 24 draws, 28 losses, and have scored 100 goals. Right? Flip all those numbers around, except for goals. We scored 122 goals against the Chicago Fire. But with the additions this year, is Chicago kind of a sleeper pick in some people's eyes?
No.
Okay.
I think if you asked us in like a year, I mean, the players all sound like they are improvements for sure. But when if it were, and this is, I don't mean this in a negative way, but if it were a different coach, I would be maybe more inclined to say yes. And the reason I say that is because we all know Greg Berhalter, and I would assume we hold him in high regard. But we all know also that he's got a system, and it's like relatively specific and, overall. Yeah, and predictable for sure. And to get everybody like on the same page, I think you probably need more than just camp to be able to do that. So I think maybe if it's later in the season, perhaps the first game, I would lean towards no, not a threat. But I think they have the potential to. You said sleeper. Like if I was going to bet on over under if a team was going to make the playoffs, like I would maybe give them a chance when it comes to something like that, like low. What are we at 9 seeds now? Maybe like a 9 or an 8 or something like that.
I give them 7 as their ceiling. The 7th seed is their ceiling, but I see them as a playing team.
Yeah, I could definitely see that.
Because I mean, it's you touched on it a little bit. Just one camp, that chemistry is not there, and by the time, it may be like Peter Vermees in Kansas City. They struggle a bit in the first half of the season, but somehow, some way, when you start talking about coaching hot seats and he's in the playoffs, like Jesus Christ, like when are you going to get fired? Maybe they struggle like the first couple months, going into the summer. And they start picking it up from there. So that's why I say like 7 is their ceiling. It will shock me if they get to like the 6th seed or higher.
Mm-hmm.
But 7 is their ceiling for me this year. But more than likely will be a play-in game.
Looking at transfer market, they have Jonathan Bamba, Leonardo Barroso, Philip Zinkernagel.
That's who it is.
Zinkernagel.
Sam Rogers, Ariel Lassiter, forgot about him. This is crazy, right? Jack Elliott, the center back from Philadelphia, free transfer. Omar Gonzalez, free transfer. Dylan Barroso, free transfer. I think the addition of Jack Elliott to that back line is an absolute steal. Was solid. He was solid for Philadelphia when he was there. Ariel Lassiter is a pretty good winger. Came from Montreal for 68,000 euros. Don't ask me to convert that because I have no idea. But yeah, so I think with what Nick said, and you guys will be able to hear our full preview from the Chicago side of things with Nick from Feed the Fire podcast, also known as Glass House Soccer on social media. Saturday morning at 11, you guys will be able to hear the full 40-minute interview with him from the Chicago side of things. I think Jonathan Bamba is going to be very good, but it's that addition of Jack Elliott and Omar Gonzalez, who at 36 is probably still rocking and rolling, if I may say so myself.
I mean, when you got Berhalter that does the 4-3-3, having those 4, defensive backs, a 36, 37-year-old can survive.
Yeah.
When you start getting into, the 3-back, maybe even a 2-back, now you're pushing it for, a 36, 37. But with Berhalter's, system that he has, because he has 2 systems he rocks with. He rocks with the 3-4-2-1, and also the 4-3-3.
Yeah.
And so with some of the new additions, and then you got Hugo Kuipers when he's healthy, Brian Gutierrez.
Yeah.
That I think would excel in Berhalter's system, but you still have to build that chemistry. Football is a game of mistakes and chances. And Nancy said it the best, that's all it is losses and chances and mistakes. And the next game is, what did you learn from the previous one? And you just keep building on those mistakes and, and everything. So you got to have that chemistry. You have to. And, I say, that's why I say, a play-in team, 7 at the highest, I don't think they would finish at the bottom like they did last year, which San Jose got the wooden spoon last year. So
off topic, really quick. You can definitely tell that Lionel Messi does not like playing in the cold. This guy is limping, and it's only 39 minutes in.
Oh,
was he already hurt?
he probably wants him to pull him so he can not have to play the rest of it.
Yeah, it's still 0-0, by the way, and I honestly think Kansas City is so much better than Miami right now. But as Miami takes a corner kick.
Don't let the better hear you say that.
Oh well, I got into an argument. Not really an argument, but they were like, "Oh, why wouldn't you take Messi as your first pick?" Because I wouldn't. I want to be a leader, not a follower. Key matchups to watch. So, who do you guys think needs to step up for the Columbus Crew? And as we get into this topic, I will bring up this question by Alec that was brought to our attention quite some time ago. How do you guys feel about Rudy going into the season? I think I'll start with this one. I feel good with Rudy going into the season. I will say that he was not the same Rudy Camacho that we saw at the beginning of the 2024 season and the end of the 2023 season. After that Miami game, that 3-2 Miami game where Messi was there, he just kind of declined a little bit.
He was tired.
You saw what?
He was tired.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was after a lot of games.
Yeah. And I think this long off season, I think a lot of the guys are finally getting their legs back under them, especially Rudy Camacho, who plays that sweeper defender when we're attacking. I think he needed it the most.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I feel pretty good with Rudy heading into the season. There is something that we will touch on later about the depth at center back. But me, I feel pretty good about Rudy heading into the season.
So I'm gonna answer his question and about, and then answer your question, Ty. So how do I feel about Rudy? I feel good about it. They do need to have, get a backup for him, a true center back. But you hit it right on the head, the nail on the head that, after that Miami loss, it wasn't the same Rudy. And quite frankly, it wasn't the same team.
Mm-hmm.
Like you could see the fatigue starting to set in from playing, 2 tournaments.
Deep.
3 championship games, Campeones Cup, Leagues Cup, and CONCACAF championship. And, just the jet lag, the jet fatigue. Excuse me. Just weighing on them, and everybody was tired. And Jason Russell Rowe touched on it a little bit, that he sees that everybody is more fitter this season coming into preseason. Everybody looks rejuvenated, refreshed, but they look more fitter, and stamina wise, it's, their cardio and their stamina is a little bit better versus, last year. So, and they know how to, playing all the games that they are, this year, they're able to moderate their bodies more because they've been through playing, 50 plus games last year, so they know how to, use their bodies sparingly, if that makes sense. So as far as Rudy goes, I'm good with it. They still need a backup, true center back, to back him up. To answer your question, Ty, who do I think needs to step up a little more this season? And I'm going to say Derek Jones. We saw what the potential in him last year when he would come in. I want to see a little more aggressiveness, but also patience. Being patiently aggressive in that midfield when he's in there. Because he's a great replacement when Nagby has to come out. Because he's the tall giant out there on the field, and he's able to hold players up.
He's physical.
Yeah, he's physical, but I want to see him be patiently aggressive, not being overly aggressive, but just be patiently and let the other player come to him instead of him going at the player, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and I think to quickly touch on the point about Rudy, to your point too, Jerald, about how if you think about the year before, we probably had the shortest off season maybe ever or close to it, from winning a championship in the almost middle of December or roughly middle of December to you get back into training in February, end of January, February already, and then you start playing games, and then you play the most games that you've ever played. It's just a really short amount of time for anybody at any professional level to be able to get any kind of rest involved. So I think as much as it pains me, like if looking on the positive side, having an early out in the playoffs may have actually ended up being a positive thing for us when it comes to long-term health for these players and the fitness, because we're back in it again this year. If they make run in any of these tournaments, you're back up to 50 some games again without even blinking an eye. And so I think for someone like Rudy, unless we see the decline continue, I don't think, like we've all kind of said, that the anticipation is not that that's going to be the case. Maybe it's a tad bit slower just from an age standpoint, and maybe not having the backup, and we'll dive into the depth piece. But just, knowing that, I think he should be okay going into the season. From who should step it up? We've already touched on it a million times, but it still is like the first thing that steps in comes into my mind is like one is Jason Russell-Rowe, just because now is his time to shine, to really make an impact, show how he's improved. We've all seen really high highs and relatively low lows, in my mind at least, just like clanking some bad shots and stuff at the beginning of like last season. That's, and not anything too crazy. He's shooting when he needs to, those types of things, but being more on target, in my opinion, at least, is where I would say the focal point of that is. But another person that stuck out to me, just from like, I'm thinking back to a lot of the games, is, and I think he's really good. So I don't think that he by any means, it needs to improve from like kind of not being good to good. I think good to great would be someone like a Mo Farsi, where at times, and I love him, so I'm always watching him on the field. There were some games where the other team was clearly putting a lot of their attention towards him because he's so fast on that outside that they target it a lot. From our side, we target that a lot to get the ball up. And so when they start overloading that side, he at times wasn't either able to get around them. Sometimes it was bad passes. There was a fair share of bad passes to him that he had to run back for, or were out of position for, whatever it may be. But I would like to see him be able to really assert his will on that side just every game when he's out there, because the year before he did it a ton. Like, it was like a coming out party for him in terms of how good he was. Last year, I felt like it was just a slight step back, or the rest of the league adjusting, which is inevitable to happen. And when Nancy's system's been around for a little bit, people can catch on more. But he's so dynamic, and being able to either get into the box or get the ball into the box when we can get him running up there at a full speed. And so I'd like to see more of that from him, which I think we'll continue to see. Like, he's a great player. There were teams trying to get him last offseason. So it's not like he underperformed by any means in my mind. I just think that he could be better than where he has been at. Even
he played this season with not at 100%.
Was he? He got injured, right? Earlier in the season,
he got a groin injury, and then he also got a foot injury. The foot injury is what lasted the whole season.
So he was playing through it the whole time.
He was playing about 85%.
Okay, well that makes a lot of sense.
And that's coming straight from his mouth, at training.
Mm-hmm.
That he was playing, with the injury, that it was, it was limiting him.
Yeah.
When he was playing, but he played through it.
That's good tenacity right there to be able to play through that, because I can't imagine doing that or being able to. And I'm glad too. I mean, he didn't use that as an excuse, through the season. I mean, I don't think too many of us realized that he was playing through it that much. At least I know he had been injured and everything, but that makes me even more encouraged, actually, to what we could see from him this year with a full longer off season to get better at now.
Well, he did say that he wasn't 100%, but he was close to it.
Oh, for like recently?
Yeah, this was back in January.
Okay.
So, who knows?
Gentlemen, I want to put our brains together for a tactical breakdown.
Oh, that's scary. All right.
Yeah, I know. I can't do things.
And that's why we're not the side manager on the side.
Correct.
Right.
So, Wilfred Nancy's likely approach. Is the Crew going to stick to their possession heavy game? Probably. I would assume so. Let me get the question now. Jesus Christ. This guy's eager. Yes. There's a but. I might have an affidavit here, or whatever it's called. Is the Crew going to stick to the possession? What?
An amendment.
Yes, thank you. Amendment, not an affidavit. Is the Crew going to stick to the possession heavy game? And if so, how is it that they can how are they going to tweak it, if they will? Because every team has our number, right?
Mm-hmm.
So are we still going to see, Rossi fill that Cucho void where he drops in front of the center backs and ping it out wide to Farsi? Or do we still see kind of the play build up from Patrick to the center back, to the midfield, to the wings, to the forwards?
I think that it's probably a combination of both. I think
Jerald looks so eager to answer this question.
I just think that if we not having Cucho and Christian might actually provide us a chance to throw something different at teams, because their expectation for the past 2 years has been like what you said. Like it's obviously a complicated system, but at the end of the day, the ball's likely going to Cucho, in most cases. But here, now that we don't have him, it's a little more open to like, well, who do we focus on? If they focus on Diego, which is what you would assume would happen, maybe we've got a whole different game plan ready that doesn't involve him in that type of capacity, at least not all the time. Like we're maybe assuming that would be the case. So it's hard to say, but I think we may see something that maybe we're not expecting. Which was like completely not really answering the question at all. So all that to say, I don't know.
You're good. No, you're good. I'm waiting. Jerald looks like he has about a million things to say.
Save me here, Jerald.
So I'm a be funny first, and then I'm gonna be serious. I mean, they could do the possession game and having, playing 5 keepers at one time, for possession wise, to allow the build up. And it would sort of look like a keeper practice out there. So the back line is all defense, defense is all keepers. But no, on a serious note, I really do believe the buildup will start with Patrick again. I think you see Darlington push up more.
Ooh, I would like that.
I see Darlington push up more, but Diego drop back to, back there by the 8, 8, which more than likely it would be Sean Zawoski this year,
Mm-hmm.
who will fill that 8 role. But I see Diego still playing on the left side because that's where he likes coming from that left. But I think you see more Darlington push it up, and both Jason and Diego drop back, to allow Darlington to pull everybody up and then them go wide.
And then he hits a bunch of bangers from like 25 yards out, right?
We didn't get a banger from Darlington last year.
He's due. He owes us one now, or two,
And
technically.
What did I say, Ty? In 2023, we had 2 or 3 bangers from Darlington. And I said, I think it was after the second one or after the third one, I said, we're winning the cup. I said, if Darlington has 3 bangers in one season, we're winning the championship. And look what the hell we did in 23.
Is that the line for this year too?
It is the line. If Darlington has 3 bangers this year, we're winning the championship. Because you take a look at everybody when it comes to facing Columbus. When we did have Cucho wasn't the primary target for everybody. It was Darlington, and it was also Aiden. It was Aiden and Darlington that everybody targeted.
And they just fouled him like crazy.
That's what I'm saying. And so, like, when you disrupt it, when they attack Columbus, they attack the midfield first. They don't attack Cucho. They let him run around, which is scary. You don't let Cucho run around like a little kid, out in the outfield kicking the daisies around like nobody loves me. But they attacked Darlington and Aiden first. And that's what was disrupting some of the plays at first. But, we still had, the long ball and being able to beat people on the counter. But I think that's where you see Darlington this year play a little more, push it up further instead of coming to that midfield and, dumping it off to Diego or dumping it out to the wing or letting it go from there. I really think that you see Darlington go further this year.
Jerald also says that if we see 3 trains pass by before kickoff, we're going to win the game.
What time does it start? What time does the countdown start of the 3 trains?
I think as soon as we get into the press box. Or is it an hour before?
It's when the tailgate starts, which is at like 3 or 4.
Okay, so yeah. One thing, if you don't know, Derik, Jerald gets to the stadium about 2:00.
3:30.
Oh my! For this set, you know what? I've done that before, but I don't know. That's pretty early for me.
Because there's no designated spot for handicap parking.
Oh, that's right. You did.
And with my back and my knee issues,
you gotta get there early.
Yeah, because once CPD gets there, that whole front row is nothing but cops.
Oh, yeah.
And, all their cars right there, and they don't know how to fucking park. So, I mean, you would think that it was a drunk driver that parked their car with some of them, how that they parked. But, they're all in that front row. And then you have crew staff that,
oh, yeah.
Not necessarily crew staff, but stadium staff, crew staff. So it's like, you have to get there to get that spot.
So then you're on train duty.
Then I'll be sitting in the car and then the tailgate starts about 3. They set up at 3:00, but people don't start getting there until about 3:45, 4:00. And then, I'll go make my way out there, make my rounds, talk to select people that I know.
This is like, okay, off-topic question, but I have not gone to, this is going to sound bad because much of a fan as I am, I've not gone to a tailgate in the tailgate area in the new stadium. How many people, is it like pretty robust compared to like the old one? I'm sure it's probably a little bit less just because now you have like Betty's and stuff right there, but is it still like a pretty, joyful time?
There's probably about 60 to 75 people there.
Okay, that's pretty good.
You know, people come and go. People will come
Yeah.
to the tailgate, then they'll leave, go to Betty's, or they'll go start the line at the gates.
Yeah.
You
Yep.
know, or they'll go down where the team comes in and wait for the team
Oh,
to,
yeah.
come in
Mhm.
and stuff like that. But there's usually probably about 60, 75, maybe 80 people there.
Okay.
And, I'm always out there promoting the show,
Well, I love that.
talking to people. And like, I'll
I'm
have people
definitely gonna
come
make it
up
down
and
there for one of those then.
I have people come up and, say, introduce me to, their friends and all that. Like, well, this is Jerald. He's one of the co-hosts on the Wisemen Say podcast. And, so I mean, get it out there. I guess you could say I'm the face of the show.
Man of the people.
Tyler might be the brains behind it, but
I'm just not a very sociable person at all.
Hey, we've got a merch store, and we should plug that more because I was on there recently, and I'm going to be making a purchase and wearing some of that stuff around. And I think anybody who regularly tunes in or listens to the podcast, if you are a fan, go to the merch store and purchase.
We've had one fan purchase merchandise, and that was Mr. Carr, Ray Carr
in Orlando.
Yep.
Wow, Orlando.
He's a crew fan down in Orlando. He's a school teacher down there.
Ooh,
and
I love that.
So he puts crew stuff up in the classroom and everything.
Lets them know.
Yep.
Root for the superior team. Okay. I'll be making some merch purchases then.
Yeah, I will too. I got my taxes back, so
that's right.
So I would like to have our brains put together again. All right. So who is going to start this weekend? We can already put in Patrick Schulte.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I think we can also put in Rudy Camacho.
I was going to say Evan Bush.
Let's put in Evan Bush. No, I'm kidding. And then I would also like to say Diego Rossi. I think those are pretty much 3 solid starters, right?
Yep. I think you see Yevon, though, also.
All right. So, Yevon. All right. So, Patrick, Yevon, Rudy, Diego. Who else do we see at the back? Steven?
Yep.
All right. Midfield.
Nagby.
Darlington.
All right.
I'm assuming Sean.
The Swiss Army knife.
All right.
Max.
Is that yellow?
Yes.
All right, cool.
It's mustard.
We said Max?
I assume Max, maybe.
Okay, now the question is, where would Max fit in, right? Where would Max be on the lineup here?
I'd put him up top with Diego. Yeah, actually, the more we talk about it, the more I think that I could see him doing that, Nancy doing that. Like that might be one of those ones where it's a bit of a like, it's going to at least like, at first we're going to be like, what? You know, there'll be like 1 or 2 where you're kind of like, your eyes are wide. Like, you're like, well, wait, this is the lineup?
So like right here.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think you see Max up there with Diego. As far as midfield on the wing, I think you see Dewan.
Yeah, I could see that. And then Farsi on the other side?
Yep.
Now, I think if it's not Dewan, I'm going to say it's Lassie. If not Dewan. But I think Dewan would make more sense because he played there last year.
So we got Patrick, Yevon, Rudy, Steven, Dewan or Lapalainen, Farsi on the wings, Nagby, Zawatsky in the middle. Rossi, Arfston, the 9.
I think it's going to be Russell Rowe.
Yep.
Jerald? Russell Rowe?
Yep.
All right.
And I think AZ is our super sub.
AZ is the super sub.
I think AZ comes in for Max. And I think Dylan comes in for.
He could be the super sub too, yeah.
I think Dylan would come in for Max. Lassie would come if Lassie's not starting. Lassie would come in for DeJuan. AZ would come in for Farsi with the speed.
Mm.
But see, I don't think AZ is more of a wing player. Right? Because here's what I think, right? So I think
but we still got Taha too.
I think AZ would come in for Darlington. And then it would be maybe a little more like that.
Well, I like that. I see. Then you could turn around and put Derik in for Nagby, AZ in for Zawatsky, and flip it.
Yeah, you'd have to flip it. I mean, you wouldn't have to, but
I think you could see it that way. You know what I'm saying? With Derek Jones being the pretty much the midfield sweeper there.
So like that.
Yep. That's a good lineup. That's a
I saw Connor said Schulte, Morera, Camacho, Amundsen.
Oh shoot!
Arfston. Yeah, I forgot about him.
Well, he's coming back from injury.
When did he
get was
injured?
He got hurt.
What did he injure?
I can't remember off the top of my head what his injury was. But I know he's it limited him a little, and that's why you didn't see too much towards the end of him like starting.
I hate that we only have 3 subs. We only have 3, right? Or my
5.
5. That's right.
5.
As I said it, I was like, they changed it recently. The
5
time period
across
deal.
3 windows. Halftime substitutes do not count towards the window.
Okay. So immediately I'm seeing these names and I'm like, we got so many good players.
Yeah.
How are we going to get them all out there? I hate that. That's so difficult to. It's just new, and I think that's why. But like, I can never remember these windows.
MLS asked a handful of stars. What's one crazy rule that you would like to see in MLS? They started with Christian Benteke, and he said, if you score outside the box, it should count for 2 points.
I love that.
But then Duncan McGuire came behind him, and he said, you should be allowed to sub in and out whenever, like hockey.
Interesting.
That'd
be kind of tough, wouldn't it? Keep guys like legs fresh. I mean, you'd have everybody. I guess they're warming up a decent amount at any given time.
Well, I mean, you could, sub out at a whistle.
Yeah, that's true.
Play stops for a corner kick. Here it comes in, 5 people.
Right? You know what? For the crew and trying to get corner kicks in, I would love that because we could still improve on that, in my opinion.
I think it would be good because you want to talk about player safety. If you were to have, do that, sub at whistles if you want. that would help keep players fresh. Because then now you're not consistently going 45 minutes in one half, 15-minute, restroom break, and then you're coming back for another 45 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? I think if you were allowed to do that, maybe 5 subs, you could change up 5 times in the first half and 5 times in the second half.
I
I
like
think,
that.
I think it would be cool.
Josh, evening, gentlemen. Looking forward to the MLS kickoff. Our resident Rangers fan in the house from Scotland.
Oh, I thought that was our Celtic fan.
Nah, Josh is a Rangers guy.
Yeah.
Really quick, how? No, you know what? Let's get that. All right, score predictions, bold predictions, actually. Starting off with the score prediction and goal scorers.
I'll let you go, Derek.
So just for this game, are we doing that, or so we're doing that then bold predictions?
This is under the same.
Okay, I gotcha. Let's see. I think on the one that we talked about for the game specific, I think I said 2 or 3 to 1. Now I'm totally blanking on what I said. I should have written this down. Jason Russell-Rowe with a goal. Diego Rossi with a goal.
That's it. You said 2-1.
Did I say 2-1?
Yeah.
I was thinking of somebody else today, and of course, like I should write these things down as I'm thinking about them. there was like a dark horse person I was thinking of, which now annoys me because that's something that like I always try to pick for a game. Let's go with Shambost. And I'll say 3 to 1 for this one. And then that way, if it's 2 to 1 or 3 to 1, I'm gonna claim I was right.
There you go.
I'm going to go 3-0.
Of course he would.
Oh, I love that.
I'm going with Steven Moreira.
Oh my God.
He's my favorite player on the team, so I am from your lips to the pitch.
I'm going Steven Moreira, Jason Russell-Rowe, and I'm gonna say Darlington Nagbe.
Banger, first one of the season.
Yep.
This guy.
One of three. Hey, start the countdown.
Give everybody goosebumps.
Hey, really quick, shout out Miss Lou at 42 Woney for the subscription to the Wisemen Say podcast YouTube channel. Shout out to her. Thanks for the sub.
Appreciate it.
He normally he'll go like, "Oh, I'm going to say 4-0, 5-0."
No, not yet.
Guy, I'm going to stick with my 1-1 prediction, and I'm going to say it's probably going to be Diego who scores. Miami just scored, by the way.
Ugh, who scored for him?
Do I even have to say?
No.
Messi.
No.
I'm going to go 1-1, and I'm going to go Diego Rossi with a goal in the 55th minute.
Oh, minute prediction. That is
boom. There fantastic. We go. Now, on top of that, will he be the one to dominate, or will another player steal the show?
Who?
Will Rossi be the one to dominate this season? We'll go season instead of the game, or will another player steal the show?
Another player. I think Diego likes playing that point guard, distributor type of player. Like he wants to do the prediction, the production wise, get some goals, get some, get the assist. But I think he's okay with being that point guard, that distributor. But like Omar SS says, we could see Taha.
We haven't seen him much yet. I would like to see more of him for sure.
Yeah.
He's put on some muscle.
Oh, good.
I've talked to him a couple times at Ohio Dominican games.
He's put on some muscle.
Nice. I think that Diego is going to lead the team in assists, and I think that it's going to be like a healthy smattering of people scoring goals, kind of like we were. I think you were saying, Jerald, how there was like 11 scores in the last 15 games or something like that. I think we will see a lot more of that. I don't know exactly who's going to have the most off the top. Maybe like Jason Russell-Rowe, just because I think he'll be put in the position the most. But I think that you're going to see one of those years where, and I've seen it in the past where sometimes people don't necessarily like it if we don't have like one focal point person who's scoring all the goals at times. But I do think that it's without having just such a lightning rod of a player for scoring goals like Cucho was. I think you will now see it open up for a lot more people to take more chances than maybe what we would have taken in the previous years, because we were always trying to get him the ball in a lot of cases, not always, but I think you'll see it'll be a lot more even than what you think.
I'm gonna go bold prediction as far as who scores some goals this year, and I say Jason has 11.
I like that.
But if I really want to get to it, I think he goes with his favorite number in third. I think he gets 13
across all competitions or just MLS.
I'm gonna say across all competitions, because we saw the production last year. He had 5 in MLS, 3 in other competitions.
Mm-hmm.
So 8 all total. I think he gets. I think he gets past the 5 goals in MLS, and I think he has about 13 goals altogether this year. It could be more, it could be less than 13, but I really think 13 goals is where you might see him at this year.
What's the we're not going to know this off the top of our heads, but I wonder what the team record is for most assists in the season by an individual player.
We have it in our media guys somewhere. I'll have when we get the book on Saturday, I'll look to see, because they have, team records.
I think Diego will surpass that.
Most assists in a single season?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And depending on what year it is, it's probably just MLS, I would imagine, which may make it.
It's a good question.
Well, it's not.
Pretty sure we'll find that out. Pretty sure we'll find that out here soon.
I was going to say it was probably like.
It's in our media. It's in our media guide when it comes to like club records. It's in our media guide.
I was thinking it was like Pippa or somebody. I mean, I know he scored a lot, but I felt like he distributed a lot. Or
I honestly wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised.
Honestly. I do got a funny quote from Pippa. It's not from him, but last week they had a chance to talk with Josh and Pippa at training, and Pippa to this day is still confused why Crew 2 is playing an Open Cup. He said, we appreciate, we're grateful for the opportunity, but why are we playing it? It should be the first team. And Josh was telling media about it, that when you play your whole career playing in the Open Cup, it should be the first teams.
I hope that somehow he uses that as like a rallying point for Crew 2 to be like, we're the first team, guys. We're playing all these other first teams. You should be playing like a first team. Let's get out there and let's win this whole thing. That's one good thing though about him being their coach too, is that like him and Josh, like they know the importance historically with the Crew and the Open Cup and like playing in it, to where they're going to put it all out there. They're going to go all for it, which, I mean, we had our own gripes with Berhalter and even Porter about how serious were they actually taking that, at times when they would throw some of these lineups out there, and you're like, I know we're getting people minutes, but what's going on here? Whereas I feel like they're going to go out and just they're not going to hold back.
So I'm dead searching for this.
And you got the hottest academy player out there who's playing on the U.S. men's youth national team.
Hey,
on our team.
he might get called. He might get that first team contract.
I was going to ask about that. If we see that he's going to get called up at some point a few times for some of these games. I have to imagine with the log jam of games we're going to run into at one point or another. So it would be amazing to see him get some playing time.
I wish we played the Galaxy, because then if he would have got called up for that.
Oh, him playing Christian.
Yeah.
That would be amazing storyline.
It does not say who has the most assists.
Are you in our media guide?
I'm in the latest one. I'm in the one from away to Red Bulls.
Okay.
Yeah. We have the most goals in career history across all competitions, and then the most goal contributions in a single season in club history.
So 57?
What?
Goal contributions?
33.
Okay.
That's Cujo.
I figured, it was probably him.
Yeah, because he broke Stern Johns.
Yep. The most goals in club history is
Cujo.
Brian McBride. No, in crew history across all competitions is definitely not Cujo. He's fifth. One behind Federico Higuain is Brian McBride, 77 in 190 matches.
Wow.
Jesus.
Yeah.
We can only hope. I don't know that we'll ever get a player who is a scoring, who has scoring potential to ever play that long for us ever again, just based upon how the league is now. But it would be awesome too.
I'm going to block
hilarious. That is hilarious.
I'm going to block Tommy from everything.
Somebody's going to timeout.
Omar says Cruz's all-time leading assists is 71. By who? That's the question.
In a season? I meant a season.
Yeah. That's
Hey, I'll take the goosebump jokes all day. Outside of the
I cannot wait for Saturday when they they're gonna go all just an insane amount of Goosebumps references. It's just gonna be wild.
I'm getting my beanie.
Yep. I will be in the stadium early for that for sure.
Really quick, last few things here on the podcast. I put out a tweet today asking fans what their biggest concern was, and I found 3. The first from Fisher. I'm not as worried as some. I believe that Wilfred Nancy can keep us afloat till the summer. Then we get the Cucho Ramirez replacement and any other depth we might need. If the signings come before the summer, even better. For the Crew podcast says the biggest one is squad depth. We aren't super worried about the starting lineup, but the bench and cover in case of injuries feels very thin everywhere on the field. And then the last one is Tyler. My biggest worry are the fans turning on the team because there hasn't been a sexy or flashy signing. This is the one. This is the one right here.
Already happening.
Seems most fans want that immediate result when we have a team that's more than capable to compete now. Also worry if the Nets in the goal can handle all of JR goals this year. This is the one. This right here is the one because I've seen a lot of fans already turn on the team.
They'll be the first ones back, though.
Oh, 100%.
They could jump ship and go right down 71 to the little girls down there in Kentucky.
I think that if they do, as we were briefly discussing it, I was thinking in my head, if we do signings before the end of the window in April, unless they have somebody targeted who's really good, who they really want to replace Cucho or something, I'm starting to more and more get on that train of, let's see what we have. If we get to the summer and it's not going well, then obviously we know we need to go add people. Not to say we won't do it anyways, but I would like to see some depth, especially like you're talking about the center back, like some of that. If you can find some people that are, out there who are available, I would certainly appreciate some of those, reinforcements early on, especially if it's slim pickings a little bit.
To answer Josh, the expectation is still the same this season. Nancy said it today. The expectation is still the same. With or without, Cucho and Christian. He does like having double at each position. So, and that's, something that him and Issa and everybody else is working with. But as far as expectations go with the roster that we have, it's still the same. Go out there and compete no matter what. And, you lose, you learn from it.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
But as long as you go out there and you give that, you put in the effort, you put in the tenacity, you put in the, everything that you got on that pitch, the results will come.
No one hates us like we do. That's
so
absolutely
true.
correct.
That
That's
is
so true.
It is.
That is so true.
So true.
Final thoughts on the opener?
Is it Saturday yet?
Give it time.
I feel like this week's been going by pretty quick, though. I gotta say, like
it really has.
Station's been building. I think by like Friday, I'll wear my crew stuff to work. Then I'll be fully locked in. I'll probably rewatch this because everybody should watch it more than once because you need to learn all of the things you need to learn. And Friday night will probably just me binging a bunch of crew stuff. Apple will hopefully have a bunch of crew stuff under their little specific section. I get so annoyed when they don't because I love watching like some of the behind the scenes stuff, and it's all very like cinematic the way they do it. So I love that they do that, and I hope they continue to do more of that.
Speaking of Apple, they are releasing a bunch of stuff this year for MLS Season Pass. Android users now can go to Google Play and download Apple TV Plus.
My mom already has it.
They can also subscribe through Google Play. They are doing some. They have a series. I think it's an 8-episode series of Onside, where they followed some teams throughout last year.
Were we one of them?
I believe so.
Ooh.
And this is all behind the scenes, so you might see some of us at media days.
That'd be cool.
What game was it? Was it the Miami game?
I think so. They also were doing some things throughout the season, when they would come up to training.
Yeah. They were, because it's through Box, I think.
Yes.
Or Box some Box to Box or whatever, Box something.
It's Box to Box.
Yeah.
Also, for the first time ever, Men in Blazers is partnered with MLS to do
really?
Something covering the Galaxy. With them winning the championship. And then they also have a 8-episode, I think it's 8. Or no, it's not 8. It's an actual Friday, February 28th. They have a sit down with Messi. And he talks about, last year. So, you can see, that. But for all MLS season pass subscribers, the first episode of Onside is free. And I think that comes out Friday.
Cool. Awesome. We'll definitely be checking that out.
Man, This was a long episode. But
we're growing. 170 viewers. Thank you guys for tuning in, whether you're on Twitter or YouTube.
I was about to say, I'll tell you right now, 165 are on Twitter right now.
Love it.
171 combined between Twitter and YouTube.
Yeah.
Compared to what
we had I think last week had like 230 something.
Something like that. But hey, Ty, look where we came from. 50, 65, people, to now we're triple digits. And that's thanks to
freaking verify myself on goddamn Twitter.
Well, not only that, but without the fans, we wouldn't be here.
Yeah.
Shout out y'all. Play. Shout out y'all. It's been a good episode. Can I take this off? All right, there we go. Been a good episode, long episode, but it's well worth it because we are getting towards the season. Been real. Hopefully, I'll get to see Jerald. I'm pretty sure I'll see you, Derik. I hope I get to see you on Saturday.
Yes,
I got my credential.
I need to. I'll just get mine at the stadium. I'll just get mine at the stadium. I have no time to go and get it.
Southwest corner.
South. Is that where it's going to be, or is it going to be at the northwest gate?
Southwest corner at Media Will Call.
All right, that's cool. If you guys like our content, be sure to listen to us on Apple, Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeart, Pocket Cast, or whatever the one between iHeart and the N one is. I can't remember what that is. You guys can also watch us. Huh?
Overcast.
Thank you. Overcast. You guys can also watch us on YouTube, Spotify, and Goals TV. If you guys want to follow us on social media, you guys can follow the show on Instagram at the Wisemen Say Podcast, YouTube, the Wisemen Say Podcast, on X at Wisemen Pod. You guys can follow Jerald on Twitter
at Jerald_Lucas96.
You guys can follow Derik and all his glory of the Goosebumps kit on Twitter.
Funky Moses 17.
And you guys can follow me on Twitter at Fisher_Tyler__. Much love. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. If you guys have watched all the way to the end on YouTube, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Turn on the bell notifications for whenever we post new content. If you are listening audio only, we appreciate you also. Check out the link tree in the description below for links to all our podcasts, wherever you get podcasts, the merch store. As Derik said, we need to plug that even more. And guys, we are just 3 days away from the season opener.
Let's go. Wow.
Once again, thank y'all for tuning in. Joe, my friend, as tradition goes, Wisemen say,
only fools rush in.
Peace out, everybody. Have a good day. Have a good weekend. Be safe, stay hydrated, stay cool. Hug your loved ones. Go Crew.
Merry Christmas to all, and to all a good night.